Okay, so let's talk about something I bet you know all too well. The day is finally over. You are absolutely, completely exhausted. But instead of going to bed, you're up. You're scrolling, you're watching videos, you're just being awake. Why on earth do we do this to ourselves? Well, today we're going to dive into this midnight rebellion that so many of us wage against our own need for sleep. Does this picture feel a little too real? It's 1 in the morning, right? Your eyes feel like they've got sand in them. Your body is just screaming for you to lie down. But your thumb just keeps on moving, scrolling and scrolling. You absolutely know you're going to hate yourself in the morning, but for some reason, you just can't stop. Well, it turns out there's actually a name for this very specific, very common little act of self-sabotage. And here it is. It's called revenge bedtime procrastination, or RBP for short. Now, the most important thing to get here is that this isn't about not being able to sleep, like insomnia. Oh no. This is a deliberate choice. It's a rebellion, really, and it's usually waged by people who feel like they have zero control over their own time during the day, thanks to crazy work demands or just the pressure to be on 24/7. And let's be super clear about this. This isn't for people who aren't tired. You are exhausted. This is about reclamation. The night, it becomes the only time that's truly yours. There are no bosses, no emails, no chores, no one demanding anything from you. So you're not really avoiding sleep. You're desperately trying to steal back a few precious moments of life just for yourself. This whole thing leads to this fascinating split in our psychology. It's almost like we become two totally different people, fighting it out over a 24-hour cycle. Let's take a closer look at this dynamic. So think about it like this. During the day, you're the prisoner. You're shackled by responsibilities. You've got your work, your chores, all the constant demands from other people. But then when the sun goes down and the world gets quiet, your inner rebel comes out. And what does the rebel want? Freedom, control, what it calls my time. The rebel sees sleep not as something good, not as rest, but as surrender. Surrender to the next day's prison sentence. This quote just nails the rebel's logic, doesn't it? The thought process is basically, if I go to bed right now, I'm just hitting fast forward to another day of work and obligations. So staying awake feels like you're slamming on the pause button just for a little while to prove that you are still the one in charge of your own life. And so every single night, we make this trade. It's a deal we make with ourselves. We consciously sacrifice the energy and well-being of our future self, all for a tiny slice of freedom for our present self. It's basically like taking out a high-interest loan from your own body, and the payback is brutal.
So, if it's such a terrible deal, why do we keep making it? Well, it's because the immediate reward feels so good, even though the consequences are, well, not so good. Let's break down how this whole thing builds into this vicious cycle.
See, in the quiet of the night, when nobody needs anything from you, doing things like watching a show, playing a game, or just mindlessly scrolling, it gives your brain an instant hit of dopamine. That's that feel-good chemical. For a moment, you get instant gratification, especially if your day was full of tasks that offered you, well, pretty much none. But that good feeling, it doesn't last long, does it? Think about the emotional roller coaster of a single night. At 1 a.m., you're feeling it. This is great, I am free. Then at 2 a.m. rolls around and the guilt starts to set in. I really shouldn't be doing this. And by 7 a.m., when that alarm blares, it's just pure regret. I hate myself. I am so tired. Sound familiar? And when this little cycle happens night after night after night, the real consequences start to pile up. And we're talking about way more than just feeling tired. Chronic sleep deprivation is linked to some really serious stuff, from major anxiety and symptoms of depression to just a complete inability to focus on anything during the day. Okay, and this is where it gets really nasty, because RBP creates this trap, this self-perpetuating loop. It goes like this. You start with less sleep. That makes you less productive the next day. Because you're less productive, you have to work longer just to get the same amount done, which means you have even less free time in the evening. And what does that do? It makes your inner rebel even more desperate for revenge, more determined to steal back time at night. It's a perfect trap. Okay, that all sounds pretty bleak, right? It's a really tough cycle to break. But here's the good news. The key isn't to declare war on your inner rebel and try to crush it with willpower. No, it's about being smart. It's about negotiating. So let's look at a few gentle, practical ways to reclaim your time without fighting yourself. First off, let's change the goal. Forcing yourself to go to sleep can feel like just another chore, another demand on your list. And what does your rebel do with chores? It resists them. So instead, just focus on resting. That's it. Give yourself permission to just lie down and do nothing. It lowers the pressure and makes winding down feel like a choice, not another order.
All right, the next strategy is about being proactive. Instead of waiting until midnight to fight for your me time, you schedule it. You build it into your evening. Create a little buffer zone between your workday and your bedtime. This gives your inner rebel exactly what it wants, just not at 2 in the morning. And look, this doesn't have to be some huge 2-hour-long ritual. We're talking about just 30 minutes. That's it. Try scheduling 30 minutes of sacred time at, say, 9 p.m. And this time is non-negotiable. It's just for you. If you give yourself that feeling of freedom earlier in the night, the desperate urge to steal it later, it really starts to fade. And finally, what you do during that sacred time really matters. The goal isn't just to be free, it's to do it in a way that actually helps your brain get ready for rest instead of shocking it awake. And there's a huge difference here. Those high dopamine activities, scrolling, gaming, watching intense videos, they're super stimulating. They're like a shot of espresso for your brain. The real goal is to choose low dopamine activities, things like listening to calm music, stretching, maybe reading an actual physical book. These things still give you that me time, but they also send a signal to your brain that says, hey, it's time to power down. And that's really the core principle here. You can absolutely honor that need you have for autonomy and control without completely wrecking your sleep. It's all about finding activities that feel like a treat, but also act like a gentle ramp down for your mind. You're still getting your rebellion in, you're just being smarter about it. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. This isn't about magically finding more hours in the day. It's about consciously protecting a small space for yourself. So think about it. What could you do with just 30 minutes tonight that would feel like a real moment of freedom and still let you get the rest you absolutely deserve?